motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. The latest from two-weight unified champion Dina Thorslund, who says, "So my next fight will not be against Shernika Johnson, though it seems odd that I can't tag her, and that is because she is a scared chicken and wants to defend her titles before facing me." Well, I understand that because she is going to lose, but this will be her biggest mistake. This is another fuel on the ongoing fire inside of me. I am destroying anyone standing in my way on my road to undisputed, but I am promised a fight for the crown in the spring, and before that, I will be fighting at the beginning of next year. The goal is set, and now the work begins.
For those not aware of what Dina Thorslund is talking about, the only reason that Shernika Johnson got to fight for all the marbles at 118 is because Dina Thorslund was with child and afforded her and Sharita Metcalf that opportunity by vacating her two alphabet titles as to not hold up the division. But unfortunately, Dina miscarried and she returned sooner than expected. So now
She wants her crack at the apple, sporting an unblemished record of 23 wins with no losses and no draws, 9 knockouts, having been a champion at both 122 and 118. She is targeting Shernikwa, who sports a professional record of 18 wins with 2 losses and no draws, 8 knockouts. Shernika may have all the alphabet titles, but she's not actually undisputed in the undisputed sense. Dina is still the Ring Magazine and lineal champion, whereas Shernika has all the alphabet titles. Last in action in August of this year opposite the Ring then champion Sharita Metcalf, who she stopped in 9 rounds.
currently on a 3-fight winning streak after having dropped a decision to Ellie Scottney at Super Bantam. She has since moved down in weight and won 3 fights since then. 2 of them against then-champion Nina Hughes and another against then-champion Sharita Metcalf.
Whereas Dina's been out a lot longer. Dina hasn't fought since October of last year. In that way, it's been a full year since Dina saw action. So when she says that Shernika is making a mistake,
Well, that's it. Shernika would have been better off fighting Dina Thorslund off of that long layoff right away instead of giving her the chance to shake off the ring rust.
that would have been Shernika's best bet to perhaps win this fight, because there's not actually anything she does better than Dina Thorslund. And that's not a knock on Shernika Johnson. She's a great fighter unto herself, but Dina is just better. Better at everything. Better on the front foot, better on the back foot.
Better on the inside, better on the outside. Shernika Johnson can crack, but Dina Thorslund cracks harder.
So if you give Dina that chance to shake off the ring rust from that long layoff, you're going to be facing an even more dangerous version of that fighter if you do end up facing that fighter. There is pressure on MVP to not only make this fight, but oblige Dina Thorslund, because the only reason that Shernika got to fight for those belts is because Dina was kind enough to give them up.
She didn't have to do that. There is added pressure on MVP to make this fight specifically, because you signed the both of them. You signed Dina and you signed Shernika. So the onus is on you to make it happen. This is singularly the very best fight to make at 118 pounds. And because they're giving Dina a chance to shake off the cobwebs, I like her chances even more. Moving up to the super bantamweight division is not an alternative for Shernika Johnson if she tries to escape, as she's already been there and done that with Ellie Scottney. Ellie already beat her.
So going back up there, that's no avail. She has to answer to Dina. Now, MVP has expressed their commitment to the women's game and has fast become the flagship promotion for women boxers and women champions all around the world. So they have a responsibility to not only deliver this fight to Dina, but deliver it to the fans. This really is one of the very best fights to make anywhere at or around these weights. So when spring gets here, I expect that Dina will face Shernikwa.
She has to.
In men's super lightweight news, active discussions are taking place between Keyshawn Davis and Matchroom over a promotional deal. It is believed that Keyshawn Davis's deal with Top Rank ends in the coming year. However, Matchroom are prepared to buy out the final year of his contract. Discussions are ongoing, though not final. I feel like that would be a critical blow to Top Rank if they were to lose one of their flagship fighters in Keyshawn Davis. This is one of the guys they're heavily invested in, like they were invested in Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez, Terrence Crawford.
It would say a lot about the current state of affairs at Top Rank if they were to lose Keyshawn Davis to who is still their competitor, Matchroom. But lest we forget, that is where Keyshawn Davis got his start. Out of the amateurs and into the pros, he debuted as a pro under Matchroom, then migrated over to Top Rank.
He'd be coming full circle if he were to end up back at Matchroom at a time where Top Rank has yet to find a broadcast partner, leaving them in quite the vulnerable state. It seems clear that they're not going to be back before this year is out. Even though initially that was the assurance they gave, that they would be out all of August but would return in the fall. Fall is here, ladies and gentlemen, and there's no hint and no official word as to when we can expect Top Rank to come back.
And this has got to be a big part of Eddie's bottom line in America. He means to corner the U.S. market, and this is one way he can do it. New signings, bringing Keyshawn back to Matchroom.
My previous video, we talked about Eddie Hearns' recent statements that he wants to corner this market specifically. He's already got Bam, he's already got Boots. Adding Keyshawn Davis to that stable.
Wow.
Just think about how Eddie Hearn was able to take Boots back to Philly to reignite big-time boxing on the East Coast. Not once, not twice, but thrice. He could do the exact same thing for Keyshawn Davis in his native Norfolk, Virginia, where he's already done robust numbers. Eddie Hearn is just as capable of bringing Keyshawn back home as Top Rank was. More so now that they don't have a broadcaster. Though as stated, the situation would have grown desperate indeed if Top Rank loses one of their flagship fighters, one of their youngsters, to Matchroom, as Matchroom would have in effect outlasted them. Not just them, but the PBC as well. And this is likely why Eddie wants to corner the US market now. It's the most opportune time to do it. When they debuted here back in 2018, the market was a bit more healthy and fertile, and Top Rank and PBC were in better standing, whereas now they're in a weakened state. And this is the time to strike. You've been noticing it all through the month of August and September, and to some degree this one, the schedule.
There's a lot less on there, a lot less to watch in the United States, a lot less to work with. And Eddie Hearn likely sees this as an opportunity to corner that U.S. audience and funnel them over to DAZN.
Aggressively, I might add, because they're saying that Keyshawn Davis's deal is set to end in the coming year, but even if it isn't, Eddie is prepared to buy him out, buy his contract. Upon Keyshawn Davis's return, he's not going to campaign at 135 anymore. That much we know. He will be entering into a very deep super lightweight division. You're talking about Subriel Matias, Gary Antoine Russell, Richardson Hitchens.
You're talking about Teofimo Lopez. You're talking about Jack Catterall, Andy Hirioka.
You're talking about Oscar Duarte. It's a very deep division. Very few fighters there, though, have the star power, the drawing power of a Keyshawn Davis, who I haven't given up hope in. Still a charismatic youngster with a fan-friendly style. More fan-friendly, I'd say, than his old buddy, Shakur Stevenson. He is an easier fighter to promote than Shakur.
And that's why Eddie's chomping at the bit to get his hands on him and bring him back to Matchroom.
Just speaking of Matchroom, boxing insider, self-proclaimed boxing lifer Rick Glaser took issue with Eddie Hearns' recent comments about Boots Ennis.
The way that he's been promoting him.
He said, "Eddie Hearn, please stop with the Boots Bubaluba. He's nowhere near the fighter you proclaimed post-fight Saturday night. Ennis has now had 35 fights with one exception, and inactive Stanionis has been fighting a whole group of hobos. You must have forgotten about Shakur Stevenson. I know your job is to sell, but you cross that line with drastically overselling. Please confine your oversells to the UK, where that works."
Who the fuck does this guy think he is? The boxing police?
I wonder what my friend Turkey LL Sheik has to say about this, and my other friend, Hinson Ish. They're probably laughing so hard that they're howling. Eddie, don't forget to have your tea and crumpets.
What is it that Eddie Hearn could have said that would have stuck up Rick Glacier's crawl? I don't know that Boots will be undisputed at junior middleweight, or that he beats all the guys that are there. And maybe that is hyperbole. To some degree it is, but what do you expect? That's his promoter. He's not saying anything about Boots that any other promoter wouldn't say about their own fighter.
He's not doing anything with Boots that any other promoter wouldn't do with Boots or some other fighter that they're promoting. So what is Rick Glacier's real issue?
That here you have this British guy who's outdoing all the American promoters.
That's what it really is. That's what's bothering Rick. Ever since he started getting cozy with Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotions, he takes every opportunity to take shots at Eddie. And I'm not the only one that noticed. If you go through the comment section of that tweet, you'll see a good number of individuals letting Rick Glaser have it and calling him out on his biases. Guy who goes by the name Sammy Triple R, friend of the channel, said, "Rick, I thought you said there was a rift between Boots and Eddie. Now you're critiquing his promotion. The fact you're talking about it means he's a great promoter."
It is true that Rick Glaser, several others, tried to start up an online rumor that Boots would be leaving Matchroom to go back to the PBC, and I saw Rick Glaser say the other day that they're on the outs, that there's a rift between Eddie Hearn and Boots. If there was, I didn't notice it on Saturday.
You could have fooled me. One minute you're saying that they're on the outs, the next minute you're angry that Eddie is promoting the hell out of Boots. So which one is it?
I'll tell you which one it is. It's the one where Rick started getting cozy with Oscar, and so he started taking shots at Eddie. The nerve of him, tagging Turkey LL Chic. Let me ask you a question, Rick. Do you think you're in better with Turkey than Eddie is? Who does more business with Big Turk? You or Eddie?
This is a guy who's always telling every man, woman, and his dog that he's a boxing insider, that he's a boxing lifer.
If you really were as involved as you claim to be, I don't think you'd have to remind people every 10 seconds. So I think that Rick is involved to some degree, just not the extent that he claims.
And you ain't the promotional police, buddy, to try to dictate to anyone how to promote their fighter. Now just imagine if Eddie Hearn signed Boots and he wasn't carrying on the way that he's been carrying on. He wasn't propping him up and putting him on a pedestal. Then Rick would criticize him for not promoting him enough.
Criticize him for that. Your real issue is you have some foreign guy who's invaded the American market, and he's doing it better than you guys are doing it. He's promoting boxing in America better than the Americans.
Tough titty, bitch. Do a better job. Try harder.
Because being catty on the internet ain't doing it.
In men's heavyweight news, former champion Deontay Wilder announces a January comeback. Who against and what for? Nobody's sure. Former WBC heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder is chasing a second world title reign and will begin his quest in January. The Bronze Bomber celebrates his 40th birthday next week, but still harbors hopes of winning another world crown. His 5-year reign as WBC champion came to an end in February of 2020, 5 years ago, when a ruthless Tyson Fury stopped him in their rematch. After Fury's miraculous comeback in their first encounter, the Gypsy King put the American to the sword in 7 rounds. 20 months later, the rivals shared a modern-day classic, trading 5 knockdowns between them before Fury prevailed with an 11th round knockout. Wilder's form has dipped dramatically since then, with one-sided losses to fellow contenders Joseph Parker and Zhilei Chang. Between those defeats, the Alabama puncher destroyed Robert Helenius in 1 round and stopped the little-known Tyrell Anthony Herndon in 7 the last time out. The former champion has hinted at retirement in recent years, but now seems determined to continue despite his best years appearing to be behind him. Speaking to streamer Neon, he said, "I do have something coming up. We're looking in January. I've signed the contract already. I can't give any details at this point, but it's definitely live. It's gonna happen. I've got a big year next year. I'm looking forward to it. All I can say is, 2-time. Let's go." While no date or venue has been confirmed, the Barclays Center in Brooklyn is due to host a show January 10th, which is expected to feature Subriel Matias defending his WBC Super Lightweight title against Dalton Smith. Wilder, 44 wins with 4 losses and 1 draw, 43 knockouts, has fought at the Barclays Center 5 times. Could a 6th appearance see the veteran return in the headline slot? I think that all depends on who's promoting it, who's paying for it, and who he's fighting. Because when you talk about becoming a 2-time heavyweight champion, at least right now, he would have to go through Oleksandr Usyk, who currently holds all the marbles, all the belts. he's undisputed. And I don't get the impression that Wilder's about to fight Usyk, so who could he be talking about?
Wilder's not in line to fight Alexander Usyk. Joseph Parker is, and Agit Kabayel is.
Via the WBC and the WBO, via the IBF. Daniel Dubois and Frankie Sanchez are about to fight for a mandatory slot in what is an IBF final eliminator. Via the WBA, Bulgaria's Kubrat Pulev.
You know that might be who Deontay Wilder's talking about? Kubrat Pulev has been tied to a Michael Hunter fight for a few months now, but there's still no word as to when that is supposed to happen. Maybe that fell apart behind the scenes, and maybe Wilder is about to challenge Kubrat for his WBA regular title.
Kubrat!
Because Kubrat Pulev and Deontay Wilder are close to the same age. I mean, Kubrat is actually older than Deontay. Maybe that's who Deontay is talking about, and I could see a fight like that happening on a very small scale, just like Deontay Wilder's last fight in Wichita, Kansas with Tyrell Herndon. That fight was a far cry from Wilder's stints in Saudi Arabia during Riyadh season for what were the Joseph Parker and Zhilei Zhang fights.
And what was once Wilder's adoring public, his fans in this side of the world, they don't seem all that pressed about him anymore, that concerned. 44 wins and 4 losses with 1 draw.
I think that Wilder's best bet at becoming a 2-time heavyweight champion would be going through Kubrat Pulev and then waiting for Alexander Usyk to retire, because if he took him head on, he would lose. He would get stopped for a 4th time and lose for a 5th.
Whereas if he fights Kubrat Pulev, maybe wins that WBA regular title, after Usyk retires, he might be elevated to full champion. Wilder is 2-4 in his last 6.
Meaning out of his last 6 fights, he's only won 2, averaging 1 fight a year for the last 5 going on 6 years. He only fought once in 2020, only once in 2021, only once in 2022, only once in 2023, only once last year, and only once this one.
The safest route to a title is through the WBA and through Kubrat Pulev. He doesn't beat Agit Kabayel, and he already lost to Joseph Parker.
And I don't get the sense he's going to challenge Usyk head on, so his best bet would be going through Kubrat, and we'll see if that materializes in the coming calendar year. At 40 years old, does Wilder stand any real chance of becoming a 2-time heavyweight champion, or is he just a day late and $1 short?